The Mitchell's Front Page podcast is brought to you by Geelong Bank. Listen live on 94.7 The Pulse, Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 till 11.
Okay, we move over to Brownbill Ward now, and I've seen a few signs around that say, vote Jose. We've got the man behind the signs here, Jose Rodriguez. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, good morning, Mitchell. And just look, it's pronounced Jose. It's actually a Spanish name.
I apologise.
No, it's okay. It's very common because I think in Eastern Europe it's pronounced Jose. It's, I think, the Latin roots, but that's all right.
So explain why you're running for council. Give us a bit of a snapshot as to who you are and why you've decided to put your hat into the ring.
Yeah, of course. I've been a resident of Geelong for over 33 years. I came here with my family from El Salvador, a small Latin American country. Geelong has been my home. I've grown up here. The people have been incredibly good to me and my family. I've been educated here, and now I have a family here. Its future is important to me because I also want to raise my child, and I see the vast potential, creative potential of what is now here and where it could lead in the future.
Have you run for anything political before, anything like this?
Not at all. This is my first fray attempt.
And I read in the paper it said that you were motivated perhaps around a decision to do with the green spine. Is that right?
That's right. So earlier this year, I think just prior to COVID-19, one of the council decisions was to remove a section of the green spine. It was at a cost of about $2 million. And I thought it reflected quite poorly on the resourcefulness of council. And I also thought it reflected quite poorly on the creative and cultural capital of the city.
So what would you like to see done with that space? Because it is a bit of a contentious issue. I think there's quite a few different viewpoints. How do we get it to work with all of the different needs, the buses, the bikes, the cars, etc.?
Yeah, well, the green spine section that was part of that particular matter is only the section between Market Square and Westfield,
yes.
So the two shopping centres. So it's a very small section. I don't have any intentions to alter that area. It's not part, I think, as it stands, I believe that it's a very good and beautiful precinct. It's not a lot of shop fronts in that area compared to a lot of other places. So it's actually done a service to beautify an inner city section. In terms of extending the green spine, that's a matter I think that needs probably more review as to what that does. How is it going to improve the well-being of its residents and also the improvement to the city? I'm all for beautification, but I'm certainly not about pet projects.
And in terms of the overall project, it's to go a fairly long distance from the station almost, or Johnston Park, all the way up to the gardens. So everyone says you have to wait and see what the rest of the project is going to look like. Do you have any views on how that should go and what the next parts of it should be?
Oh, look, I think as part of the operations of the city, beautification and streetscaping is fundamental. I think that that's part of building and creating a good character to a city. I don't think that the green spine is, for me personally, a priority. I think it's an important thing that we continue to look at improvements to streetscape. It's not something that I think will vastly improve as a pet project, as a single project, will vastly improve the welfare or even the image of the city. I think we have lots of areas to work on, but it's not something that I will be pushing hard to complete.
So what are your priorities in terms of improving the lives of Brownbill residents? What do you think the council needs to do?
I think that councillors need to recognise the efforts of small business operators and the creative culture and their currency. I think that quite often Geelong has suffered in many ways from a poor image of it being kind of culturally bankrupt, creatively bankrupt, like we don't have the things that this city has or that city has. And so you sort of have this almost, you're trying to really push your work uphill, like we have good things here and we have great things, in fact, but it's sometimes not supported. So really my position would be to try to improve both that aspect of our city and the image and going, who needs our support and what can the city do to support that infrastructure and to give them the platform that they need to showcase their work. And the other things are recreation. I think during this lockdown period, we've seen what I think, as in I'm an architect, so I've had a lot of people call me up and say, can I fix my kitchen up? And that's because we start to spend time in our homes. And the same goes for our recreational areas. So when you're locked up and you walk out 20 metres, you go, what's my park like? Where can I go for a walk when I'm only limited to a very small area?
And in terms of working with some of the other councillors, do you have any philosophy on how you're going to approach that? Because you'll have 2 other councillors representing Brownbill Ward if you're successful, but then also 10 other councillors to work with around the council table.
Yeah, absolutely. I think fundamentally what I think has to change is a vision for councillors. And I've spoken to a couple of other candidates just in terms of, some congratulating me on nomination, which is really nice, because I think it's something that many of the community should sort of aspire or put their hand up to do. And at the conclusion of most of my conversations, I always say, wouldn't it be nice at the end of 4-year tenure that you would be looked upon as both an example of a good council, as something that you could say, this was a high-functioning council that really performed well, and that you could look back personally and say, we did good things. And that would be a great end to your 4-year. And then, of course, it would be time for re-election, and the opportunity for others would be there as well.
And in terms of the other councillor or the other candidates that are running in Brownbill Ward, I know that there are some alliances starting to form, and different people are saying vote 1 for me and vote 2 for someone else. Have you formed any alliances, or are there certain candidates that you think, yes, I'd really like to work with that person? Or have you even thought about preferences and how you might direct people that want to vote for you in terms of preferences?
I actually haven't got any preferences at all, and I am running as an independent. Haven't got any political alliances whatsoever. Sometimes people ask me, what side of the fence are you on? And I do tell them I'm a swing, because quite evidently people are either here or there, and there are certain aspects when you're not political or you're not aligned with a political party, you can kind of see the merits of policy objectively, and that's how I want to go into the and I think at this level, at local level, I think those things aren't necessarily useful, as in having a political alliance, because you've got 11 councillors, and you have to work together, and you have to put those things aside for the benefit of the community. So I hope to have a very good working relationship with everybody, and I hope that they come in as well thinking, let's work together really well for the sake of the community and for the region.
Well, there's 3 questions we like to ask whoever I'm running for local government, and the first is, what are your politics? And I think you've kind of answered that by suggesting you're a swing voter. You're not a member of any political parties or anything like that?
Not at all.
And do you live within Brownbill Ward?
Pardon? I'm sorry.
Do you live within the boundaries of Brownbill Ward?
Yes. I live in Bell Park. I've grown up in Herne Hill and Geelong West, and I tended sort of Rick Street, Kinder, Manifold Heights, very young age. Continued on actually at Western Heights, and continued at Deakin University. And actually I did a small time at the Gordon as well. So I've actually sort of used a lot of the institutions across the area. So I'm quite familiar with the range.
And finally, the elevator pitch. This is where you just speak directly to the people listening, either now on the radio or on our website. Why should people vote 1 for you when the ballot packs come out from next week?
I think that a vote for me is a vote for clever and creative direction and support. I believe that's the future of Geelong. And if you believe that too, then I'd hope that you would consider voting for me.
Well, thanks for being on the program. I wish you luck with your campaign, and we look forward to having you at our Brownbill Candidates Forum to answer questions from the voters, which is coming up on Friday week. Yeah,
I look forward to it, Mitchell. Thanks very much for your time.
Good on you. Thank you very much. Jose Rodriguez joining us there, who's running as a candidate for Brownbill Ward.
The Mitchell's Front Page podcast is brought to you by Geelong Bank. Listen live on 94.7 The Pulse, Mondays and Tuesdays from 9 till 11. or search for Mitchell's Front Page on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or wherever you get your podcasts.